Yeah,
Got a bit fucking going on at the moment.
yeah, man, it's been good. We just we just did Gold Coast and Brisbane, and it was awesome. Had a really good time, and Brisbane was great last night. And the Weed Eater boys are really, they're having a great time and drinking lots of whiskey and having a blast, And yeah, the shows have been great. And I think tonight's going to be really good too. So yeah,
Nice.
it's good. I'm in Newcastle, like one of the
Ah,
most beautiful. It's awesome here.
that is very impressive, very impressive. Because this isn't the first time you've toured with Weed Eater. I mean, you first toured with them back in 2016, but you also toured
Yeah,
with them in America last year as well. So, do you feel
yeah.
like you've got a bit of a kinship with them?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We're great friends with those guys. We've been friends with them for like well, I think it was maybe 2015 we first toured with them in Europe, and then we did some stuff in America with them. But like we've caught up with them, lots of times when we've been back to America and we haven't been on tour with them, and if we're going through North Carolina or whatever, we'll catch up with them and hang out at the show or whatever. So
Nice.
yeah, we've always stayed in contact, and we work with some of the same people, booking agents and all that sort of stuff. So it's quite convenient for us to be able to work together. So yeah, no, it's great, and I think stylistically the bands work together well too, even though we're completely different, like opposite ends of the spectrum. There's still a kind of scrappy, like, uh,
Yeah. Underdog
they
scene.
weed eaters. Yeah, they just sound like, we got a similar kind of sound, if that makes sense, like a similar approach, I guess. Yeah, so yeah, we both bands sound like they've been scraped off the gutter.
I'm glad you said gutter and not bottom of your shoe. We'd be like, okay, fair enough.
Like we both sound like we've come out of the gutter, maybe different gutters, but yeah.
Yeah. Talking of things that have taken quite some time, so new album in the can,
Oh yeah,
first one in 7 years.
yeah, man. I mean, it was yeah. We never really intended to leave it that long, but life gets in the way, and um, the whole COVID thing obviously stuffed everything up for us because we don't all live in the same state.
Yeah,
So it was, and I mean, especially when it was, when it's a drummer that doesn't live in the same state, it makes it more difficult to be able to kind of progress with things. And we're kind of like an organic kind of band, so we like to jam and write in the room together. So when all that stuff happened, we just kind of took a break. We played a few shows here and there when we could, but essentially we just took a bit of a break and just took it easy. And we've been going pretty hard for 10 years, so it was
yeah.
nice to be able to sort of just put the brakes on a little bit. But I think after we sort of started doing some shows, when things sort of opened back up again, the creative juices started flowing, so to speak, and we got back in there after we did America last year and sort of reestablished ourselves over there a little bit. We got to work on writing,
Mhm.
and we spent most of that time sort of mid-year through winter, like writing and recording in Melbourne and getting the new record done. And yeah, I think it's sort of in the can now, and we'll start rolling that stuff out next year. So we're looking forward to it.
What can we, I mean, I'm guessing stylistically it'll be very, very King Parrot, but will
Oh
there
yeah.
be, yeah, what else can we expect from the album? Are there going to be any surprises?
Look, I think we've got a lot tighter. Tried a few different things in the studio that we've never done before. Um, we worked with a different engineer, which has been great. He's been awesome. That's Luke Walton at Danger Tone in Melbourne. He's just sort of making a bit of a name for himself at the moment with all the work that he's been doing.
Mhm.
Um, he's been working with Psychroptic as well, which is cool. And
Good lads.
yeah, they are great guys, and yeah, so we've just done a few different things. We used a click track on this one, which was something that we'd never done before because we always kind of wanted to maintain that kind of loose punk aesthetic that we've sort of had over the years. But we also, like Toddy, our drummer, kind of wanted to lean towards doing a click track. So we thought, well, let's just give it a go this time. And I think it's definitely paid dividends in the way that the record sounds now. It's definitely tighter. It's definitely a lot more together. And so that, I mean, but I think the beauty of King Parrot is that it always, beauty, for lack of a better term, we've always kind of sounded like King Parrot in the first EP that we did and the first record and stuff. So we've got our sound, and that's really cool. And we can just sort of expand on that from here. We're always kind of going to sound like us, which is super important. I think it's really important for a band to have that identity. So we have that, which is great.
Yeah, there's definitely no one else who sounds like you. Really,
Yeah, right.
definitely no one who sounds like you or has performs like you guys or even has the comedy elements as well. And there's no one else who has that or anywhere I've been in the world. No one. Talking of that though, like so going like you were saying, and I'm loath to keep like I don't want any of this really to be oh such and such, but when you're touring in America last year and you're on that Pantera bill, you do the Knotfest, you do things with Pantera, Lamb of God are on that bill as well last year in America, and as you've mentioned, I mean, all right, 7 years between albums, but you're constantly playing. Two
Yeah.
parts. When you then got to America, did you guys look at each other and go, fuck, we need to actually step up a level here? And the second part of that is what did you actually learn from being in front of American crowds and playing with those types of bands?
Well, yeah, I mean, we definitely, felt the need to step it up, of course, like we always try and step it up as much as we can, but we have a sort of staunch kind of approach with regard to our sound and style, so we don't compromise on that. So that's it's more about sort of crafting, becoming better at our craft within the scope of what we do. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah.
like we just want to improve, and I think that new album really lends itself to that, and you'll see the results of that next year. But in terms of like playing with those kind of bands, like you know, yeah, it's like it's full on. It's a whole different world. Like we're used to playing in clubs where there might be anywhere from 100 to 500 or 1,000 people or something like that. That's our bread and butter. And then to play in front of like 10 to 15,000 people every night is a whole other world. And yeah, like we definitely, like probably in the last 12 months or whatever, and then even going into next year when we go and do Europe with Pantera as well, like we've played those bigger stages
Mm.
more often than not, so it's like, yeah, it's kind of bizarre. But you do become, comfortable with it, and you become comfortable with the way that it sounds on stage and it feels on stage, and obviously having a little bit more room to move is always fun. Um, and trying to engage that larger audience who are largely probably unfamiliar. Obviously, there's some
Yeah.
people out there that know us, but there's a lot of people out there that don't. So, and yeah, it's always interesting with that Pantera audience. It's like, you know, it's like probably half of them, like Pantera is the heaviest thing they'll listen to, and then the other half,
Yeah.
Pantera was like the gateway drug to more extreme metal. So, yeah, so I think we probably won't appeal to a lot of those people, but but we definitely won a lot of them over as well. So it's just a great experience to be able to do it. And Phil has always been a champion of us and helped us out a lot with tours, and we've been signed on House Call Records. So getting the opportunity to be able to play with Pantera, which he's always done that over the years, like
I
bringing
saw
more
that.
extreme bands on tour. even with back in the early days of Pantera and when they took Morbid Angel out and Satyricon and things like that. So um, it's great to be part of that and just see it all happening and growing up as a kid, being a huge fan of Pantera and then all of a sudden we're playing with them. It's pretty surreal.
Yeah, and on a world tour when you think about it, because like I said, America, you've done Australia, and now off to Europe.
Yeah, right.
It's 21 dates in Europe, is that right?
So we're doing half of the tour. So we do 11 shows. And
You've got
Child Might
Wembley
are
though.
also on. Yeah, well, we really wanted to try and get the UK. We've always had a good connection with audiences in the UK, and we definitely wanted to do that. So, Child Bite is doing the first half of the tour, which is like Scandinavia and some of Europe, and we do, I think, 5 or 6 shows in Europe, and then 5 or 6 in UK and Ireland. So, man, we're just very, very grateful for the opportunity to be able to do it. And then, we'll add some club shows as well when we get the chance to have a day off or whatever, because obviously Pantera won't play every day. So we'll get out there and play some smaller club shows on the off days.
Going back to the album, so what's the if you can tell me, you might not be allowed to, what's the release schedule element on that one? Is there going to be like a single that drops first and then the album, or is it going to be yeah?
Yeah. We'll have a single out early next year. I reckon that's the plan. So yeah, we've been working on a video. We've got a few others in the works as well. I'm going to do a couple live videos, I think, and we'll do a couple of classic King Parrot videos.
Nice.
And yeah, we've got one in the can already. So that's a good start. So yeah, we're just working on all that in the background at the moment while we're on tour, which is kind of tricky. But yeah, we'll get everything lined up, and there'll be some new music very early next year.
Awesome, awesome. Bit of a random question because I understand, I always like to throw a random one in there and just instead of like the same old, same old. Um, like so since the last album came out, you've become a father. Okay.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So is what being what's your child think of you? Do they see you on stage? Do they see what we see? And if they do, what's their reaction to it?
No. Not really comprehending. Like not really comprehending at this point in time. um, I tell my daughter that I'm going on tour and stuff, and she doesn't get it. But when we're at home and stuff, I'll play like acoustic guitar, and we'll sing songs together and stuff like that. And I asked her if she'd start a band with me the other day, and she did, and she said yes. So the first song we learned is "Sweet Dreams" by Eurythmics, and she just loves that song at the moment. So we listen to that on repeat in the car, and I learned how to play the riff on guitar.
It's a good
And it's
song.
funny, but it is a good song, and I know how to play quite a few wiggle songs on guitar as well, and we sing those as well.
Oh, good. So, hey, look, if it all goes tits up with King Parrot, you've got your backup plan already. Good work. All right.
Yeah,
Sorry, I had to ask that question. Like, because the first time I saw you guys was at the place is shut down, actually, just down the road here, at a place called the Elephant, and it was this tiny fucking stage was like in the corner, like way
oh
smaller.
yeah, I remember Elephant and Castle, was it something like that?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
And somebody had said to me before he came on because I just turned up 'cause like it was a gig on. This is like 20 fucking 16 or something, 2015. I only just really turned up here, and they were like, "Oh, watch this band! Like they'll get in your face and like fucking grab a hold of you." And I was like, and I was actually I had to admit I was genuinely intimidated by you the first time. And as the years have gone by, I say the same thing to people now. I'm like, I watch this band, yes. So, I mean, obviously off stage, your persona is way different than your on stage persona. Like there's a very, um, out there. Do you find that you play up on that sometimes?
Uh, Not really. Like, I just I know what I like performance wise when I wanted to go and see a band. I like to feel that being threatened and being um and being in your face and like what do they call it in acting, like breaking the fourth wall or whatever,
Oh, yeah,
something
yeah.
like that. You know what I mean? Where you sort of get, or in theater or whatever, where you get in with the audience and all of that sort of stuff. So that's always been a big part of the way I've performed. And but also I'm kind of wary that you don't want to be that guy all the time. That wouldn't be
That's scary.
that might.
Not
Yeah,
really.
well, I don't. The performance is one thing, and I think the just who I am as a person is a different thing as well. But I mean, yeah, I know. I've met lots and lots of people that walk around, like that are in bands and stuff, that walk around and have that persona of, like, they carry it the whole time, and I just feel like that would be exhausting.
Yeah, that'd be
It'd
far too
just be a
much.
lot of Yeah, it'd just be a lot of energy to like be putting into this act. It's like, I don't know. I mean, I like the performance side of performing. Like that's what it is, and then when it's done, I'm just me. So yeah.
Mm. I mean, the band's profile obviously is getting much, much bigger. You're going to have the album, you're going to have the singles and such for. But now, your music's also appearing in cartoons. I saw Doomlands. How did that come about?
Yeah. Well, they just hit us up. Yeah, they just hit us up. They just asked us, and I think we had some contact with them a few years ago, and then it kind of went quiet. And then last year, they just sort of said, "Look, we really want to have this. We really want to have shit on the liver on the show." And I was like, "Okay, great, let's do it. Let's go. Let's do it." And they were cool, very easy to deal with, and it's just great to be able to get it out there. And again, we under no illusions about where we are. We're a niche kind of band. It's not for everyone, that's for sure. But there is places where it fits, and if
Fits
people
there.
like that see that it fits there, then great. That's awesome. It's good for that stuff. It's good for that crazy stuff. Car chase or a crazy cartoon or a fight or something like that.
What it reminds me of a little bit is a little bit like how Carcass and Napalm Death got a similar type of thing. Like it was like
Yeah,
such an extreme niche kind of music that your mum doesn't like, but all of a sudden starts to creep into the general consciousness of society, and the name begins to resonate in that aspect. So what's so taking that into account then, is there going to be more ventures into you're not going to sell out, are you? Like, that's what we're getting at.
nah, man. Like, I mean, that's what I was talking about before when it comes to, like, we don't like compromise on the sound. Like the sound is the sound,
Yeah.
and that's what we do. And we've always sort of stayed true to, like, taking influence from extreme Australian metal bands that came before us in the '90s and things like that, and trying to deliver our version of that sound to an international audience. Now that the world's like feels like it's a bit smaller and a bit more accessible to a
Mm.
lot of those bands that we grew up loving, like Blood Dust and Damaged, Christbait, Bean Flipper, just to name a few. Didn't get the opportunity to do the sort of touring that we have, and so we just wanted to pay homage to them, and as well as creating our own thing, um, and be able to sort of try and take it out to that international stage, because I love those bands. Those bands are super important to me, and like most of those bands, the people that I'm friends with, like members, and people that I grew up in the scene with and stuff, and have a lot of respect for. So, I mention it in nearly every interview I do these days. It's like I talk about those bands because I think they deserve a wider audience, and yeah, that King Parrot is our sort of homage to them.